In Europa Universalis 5, forts are likely to save your game once or twice throughout the course of a campaign. But there's one slightly hidden modifier that you need to be aware of. Forts are a soldier building in EU5. They're housed by 1,000 soldiers and they exert zonal control over adjacent provinces. They have a standing garrison, they reduce unrest, but they double your noble's power in that location. Now, why is this local modifier actually quite dangerous? England starts with a grand old 53% estate power in their lords. So not only do they have a stranglehold over your cabinet, your policies, your agendas, but they're getting 54% of your trade income. And they're making some estate privileges pretty much impossible to revoke until you rein them in. So the easiest thing to do to get this down quickly is to reduce your unnecessary forts. Not only does this reduce your noble's power, but it will save you money. As you can see at the start of a fresh England game, we're spending 11.3 ducats on forts a month. That's crazy. Especially as an island nation, where there is absolutely not that much use for that many forts on the mainland. So we've got to be very careful about where we place our forts and plan them out quite strategically. Even if you take the maintenance down, you're still spending near 20% of your GDP on forts at the start of the game, which just isn't sustainable. So if we're being quite selective with our forts, where do we want to put them? Well, there's two criteria that should lead into your decision as to where you leave your forts. One is the terrain. As you can see, by looking at the topography map mode or the tactical map mode, you've got access to the terrain and the combat modifiers of your country. Obviously, if you have a fort on a good combat modifier for yourself, aka a bit of harsh terrain, that will give you a huge combat bonus. For example, wetlands is a +1, hills is a +2, and mountain, especially with a forest, can even be as high as a +3, which is huge. Not only this, it gives possible frontage decreases as well. So for example, when you're fighting France, there's a good chance you're going to have a numerical disadvantage, but there's only so many people that can fit in one battle. This is your frontage. So if you can reduce that frontage, you're maximizing the effect of your dice throw advantage in that battle, and you're more likely to survive. The other important thing to consider is that when a town is captured in EU5, that town will convert its adjacent provinces in its zone of control to your cause. Now in EU4, this only worked for the defender. So your domestic forts would recapture your provinces if you took them back. However, in EU5, this now goes both ways. If you take someone's city or someone's town, the adjacent provinces will automatically be taken by you over time. This can be interrupted if an enemy army comes in to try and retake that settlement. But the biggest thing you can do to prevent this and prevent your enemy from taking vast swathes of your territory just by taking a few cities is putting forts in your provincial capitals. So using this information, which forts should we keep and which forts should we destroy? Our two forts in Cornwall are the perfect example of useless investment. Not only do we have no control in Cornwall due to the tin modifier, but neither of our forts are on defensible terrain. They're both on flatlands, which is very easy for the attacker to get good casualty ratios in. The fort in Leeds and Pontefract are two good forts to keep around. Why? Because they cover the province capital, they cover a major city, and they cover a brilliant piece of terrain in a +2 combat modifier, and even a minor bonus on terrain in your second one. They will exert zone of control over that province, which means that any invading troops will be funneled into this flatland bit here, which you can play around. If you navigate to the fortification map mode, you can see the zone of control in those hashed lines that your forts are exerting over your provinces. As you can see through Leeds and Pontefract, that they are exerting zone of control over Grimsby. This essentially is a bit of a shield for your northern England, and stops that narrow corridor of flatlands becoming a route for enemy invaders. So there's actually no need to put an additional fort in York, because it's fully covered by these two provinces here. They're both on good terrain modifiers, so any marauding Scots that come down from the north will have to go through your two forts here, provided you don't call your vassal in and give them another corridor to enter through, which is a very defensible position to set yourself up in.
See? Every Scot with a horse is fleeing. Our cavalry will ride them down like grass. Send the horse. Full attack.
And finally, the last place you'll want to keep a fort, quite obviously, is your capital. This isn't just because it's likely the source of many war goals. It's also where your economy mostly is. It's where you've got high control. It's where you've got a big tax base. And if that's occupied, you lose that. So protect it at all costs. A little hidden building that you can use to do this is a fortress church. Whilst it does get rid of your zone of control, you can subsidise this by making an additional fort, by the way. It gives you an extra 10% fort defence and buffs your garrison size by 50. The starting garrison is 250 troops, so an additional 50 is significant. But obviously, the biggest thing to consider is who you're going to be fighting and what you're using these forts for. England starts in a perilous position at the start of the 100 Years' War, where there's a good chance that France may make it onto British shores, or you're going to need some hefty forts in your continental provinces to keep yourself going, really. So, whilst there are big drawbacks, you've just got to take it in heart. As is everything in EU5, opportunity cost is pretty much the definition of the game. Ultimately, the decision is just up to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Ultimately, EU5 is quite hard. It's got such a steep learning curve, so we're all climbing the ranks together, if you will. If this video was a little help to you, please leave it a like and consider subscribing. I'm still new to this, so any feedback would be quite appreciated. But ultimately, we want to see you winning some EU5 games. So if this helped, show some support. Thank you.